If you were to go up to some random guy on the streets and ask him, what was the best wave of LEGO Star Wars? He probably would have no idea what to say because most random people on the streets are not LEGO Star Wars nerds. But if you were to ask just the cool people in the world that same question, I imagine that you would probably get a response like the Summer 2013 wave, the January 2014 wave, and maybe you'd even get a couple of Rogue One release wave responses in there. One thing is for sure though, it seems like they just don't make them like they used to anymore. I mean, sure, on an individual set-by-set basis, it's undeniable that their quality is improving by leaps and bounds. But each successive wave of LEGO Star Wars just isn't as exciting anymore. And I would point the finger of accusation squarely at this streaming service in particular. Namely, the ever-expanding library of Star Wars content on Disney+. Take a look at the 2014 wave again. What do you notice? Revenge of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith. Same with the Summer 2013 wave. A great deal of those sets were based purely off of the Battle of Geonosis from Episode 2. And no, I am not saying that a good Star Wars wave has to be heavily prequel based. What I am saying is that in all of the best waves, the sets have a great deal of interconnectedness with each other. Getting several sets from the same piece of media just somehow ties the whole experience together. It just makes it feel more fun and more complete. But when you're getting an average of 3 new Star Wars shows a year, it's a lot harder to get that same feeling of completeness, just because there's a lot more content and a lot more ground to cover, a lot more things that you've got to make sets based off of. And so today I have got 4 ways in which we could get this lack of completeness feeling fixed, starting off at number 1, the least likely, and going all the way to number 4 at the most likely scenario. Starting off here with number 1, the LEGO Star Wars team decides to make more and more and more sets every year. As of late, we're getting around 40 sets a year, including promotional items and such. Imagine if they doubled or even tripled that number. You know, just by virtue of casting a wider net, you're going to be able to hit a lot more material. Imagine getting the variety of the 2008-2010 era right alongside the variety of all of these new IPs that we're getting. All that you need to do is release like 5 really big waves a year and have Walmart dedicate a lot more of their shelving space to LEGO Star Wars. Yeah, I'm sure that you can see why I picked this as the least likely possibility. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to do from a business perspective, and on the consumer side of it too, it's already kind of easy to get overwhelmed by how many sets there are, so increasing the number of sets just to get more material encompassed, yeah, not gonna happen. And so that brings us to the second least likely way to fix this, and though it may be second least likely, it is my personal favorite, and I think that it would be very, very well loved among fans. That is, you take the sets from all across January to March and April, the winter-spring wave, and you consolidate it all into January. From there, you pick one piece of Star Wars media to base all of those January sets off of. Whether that's from one of the films, or maybe a certain arc from the Clone Wars or Rebels or what have you. Doesn't really matter as long as they are related to each other. And then you can save those summer waves for that lovely smorgasbord of Disney Plus sets or anything from the other movies. I genuinely think that this would be the best way to run LEGO Star Wars releases. But, like I said, it's not very likely. That brings us to number 3, the second most likely of the 4 scenarios. all of these shows that are coming out of Disney Plus just stop coming out of Disney Plus. Either they just go completely away or they're spaced out a lot more. Star Wars fatigue is a real thing. I won't get into the laundry list of reasons why, because this is a LEGO video and that is beyond the scope of what I am doing here. But Star Wars viewership is dropping off and Disney is not making as much money off of Star Wars as they used to. So maybe Disney walks back the Star Wars content a little bit and it gives the LEGO Star Wars lineup room to breathe. Then not only do you have more opportunity for some of those interconnected waves that we've been talking about, but you can also catch up on some of the more overdue sets, so to speak. But this whole theory, of course, is assuming that Disney decides to walk back the Star Wars content. Yeah, that just sounds unlikely. But, you know, with the way that things are going for them, it could happen sooner than you might think, I guess. And so that brings us to the fourth, and what I think is the most likely thing to happen. And that is, get ready, because this is about to knock your socks off. And that theory, this monumentous, groundbreaking theory, is that nothing changes at all. Well, kinda. It might just be us, the fans, that are doing the changing, not LEGO or Disney as companies. Maybe the way that things are going right now will continue on for a long time, and in 10 or 15 years or so, we'll all look back on the year 2024 with a lot of nostalgia. Time is a funny thing, you know. It's unpredictable. You never know how you'll feel about something 10 years down the line. And it's impossible and pretty pointless to try and predict how we'll all feel about something 10 years down the line. Which reminds me about this video I made predicting how we'll all feel about something 10 years down the line. You should definitely check it out when it pulls up on the end screen. Anyways, getting back on topic here. I know that this last one was kind of a lame scenario, but I think it's the most likely because, you know, just frankly speaking, the lamest scenarios are usually the ones that end up happening. But I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know down in the comments which of these scenarios you would be most excited to see play out, or maybe you're happy with the way things are right now and I have completely misjudged the LEGO Star Wars community. And be sure to check out that video here on the end screen. I'm not sure if the thumbnail will still be the same because I actually am recording this video like several weeks before that video even releases. Because I just like to record my videos really early and then I make them available to channel members for pre-release. So if you want to get in on that action, join as a channel member down below.